There was a time when I was out running and there was a car driving incredibly slow behind a tiny little dog. And I'm like, that's weird. You shouldn't do that, right? Like, this is a weird thing. And so I'm kind of watching, and the person just kind of like makes eye contact with me, shrugs, and then drives around the dog. And I'm like, oh, this person has now put onus on me to figure out what's going on with this dog. And like, your problem now, I looked at you. So I'm like, all right, and look around, and the only other person out is this lady in her yard taking stuff out of her car, and I'm like, is this your dog? She's like, I have no idea whose dog that is. We should probably figure it out. I'm like, okay. So I stop running. I'm like, come here, boy. And the dog, like, looks at me and like, you're not a weird person in a car. I'm getting away from you. And it started running away, and I'm like, ah. So I follow the dog. The dog runs into this little cul-de-sac and goes up on the porch, and it's just like, looking at me, looking at the door, looking at me, looking at the door. And I'm like, I don't know whose you are. I gotta figure it out. So I pick up the dog, because I could see it had a collar. And so I'm like, jostling with the collar. I see the address, and I don't know where it is. So I go back to that lady, and I'm like, hey, do you know where this address is? She's like, oh, that's that cul-de-sac. I'm like, ah, crap. It went home. It went home, and I dog-napped it. The two of us walk back. Sure enough, the doorstep that I picked it up off of was the place where it lived. So we had to knock on the door, like, we found your dog in your yard. So I just imagine there's a Ring video of me picking up their dog, running away with it, and coming back 2 minutes later sheepishly.
I was kind of hoping the dog was training for something. You know, they see that people like driving slowly alongside somebody while they're jogging, you know, in the training montages. I thought the dog was like training for a show coming up. And the people were, I mean, you should drive beside the dog, but I guess driving behind it wouldn't be too terrible. It's a small enough dog, you wouldn't drive over it. I don't know. That does seem like it could end badly, but I love the car just following it slowly and just being like, whatever. Finally, if somebody acknowledges that, yes, this dog is indeed here, I can drive around it. It's not a ghost dog.
Sometimes I see phantom dogs, and I had to make sure this wasn't a phantom dog.
People drive by all the time. You don't know what their deal is. They could be completely crazy or insane, and you don't know what's going on with them until they give you like one little hint. It's just like, oh, it's just following the small dog, but now I'm going to drive around it. It's like, okay, you're probably crazy.
It's like I caught him in the midst of some deep perverted act. We're like, I like to follow dogs.
Go lick feet like a normal pervert. Stop following small dogs in our neighborhood.